Hello. What's going on? Today we're doing something different. I'm really excited for Sword and Shield, and I wanted to take a little bit to talk about the news that was revealed today. And I want to start this new series where I talk about the upcoming games, and I want to talk about the Pokemon that have been revealed so far and my thoughts on them in reference specifically to competitive. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, my name is WolfeyVGC. I'm the 2016 Pokemon World Champion. And yeah, I'm really excited for the new games, and I miss making guides, and I'm so excited to jump into content. So I figured I'd go ahead and get the jump here and talk a little bit about my thoughts on the new Pokemon that were revealed today. And yeah, we'll go from there. So the news that was announced today was something that's pretty interesting. It's more Gigantamax Mechanics, specifically 4 new forms: Meowth, Eevee, 5 new forms: Pikachu, Charizard, and Butterfree. And assuming that this is allowed in competitive play, and specifically assuming it's allowed in VGC, this raises some interesting questions, because obviously, although some people have used Pikachu and Eevee before in competitive play, and the same as well for Butterfree and Charizard, I don't think anyone's ever used Meowth to any kind of success. It raises this interesting question, and Gigantamax is a little bit different than what we've seen before with making these Pokemon viable. Charizard was primarily almost exclusively viable because of its Mega Stone, although I did bring Scarf Charizard, I believe, to a tournament. I didn't do that well. Pikachu wasn't really that viable. It's mostly a gimmick pick. It does have Light Ball, which is interesting. However, in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they actually changed the stats, so that's interesting. And then Eevee was actually probably, of these 5, other than Charizard, the most used because of its Z move, Extreme Evo Burst. However, Gigantamax forms are a little bit different because unlike the Mega Ring, which, activates and then stays in play once you've activated the Mega Ring and it's there. And unlike the Z move, which is kind of like you get one shot, but then, you're very powerful once you get your one shot, or you can baton pass out, which is the main strategy with Extreme Evo Boost. Gigantamaxing is really interesting to me because it's a temporary thing. So what that means is that if you Gigantamax your Eevee, then, it's kind of, stuck after that. If you let the timer run out and you don't, fulfill your goal, for all of these Pokemon, actually, once you Gigantamax these 5, the Kantonian Pokemon, once you Gigantamax, if you let it run out, you're using a Pokemon that's pretty bad for the most part. Meowth, not very good in competitive play. None of these Pokemon are especially good in competitive play, with the exception of maybe Butterfree. And so I think that's a very interesting mechanic, because even if these Pokemon get really strong, they're still going to have to overcome the fact that, their base forms are pretty terrible. So with that in mind, I just want to jump into talking about them, and yeah, let you guys know my thoughts. So we're going to go from order of worst to best. Let's start with Eevee here. So Eevee, very cute. None of the Pokemon change their abilities, so adaptability is Eevee's, probably best ability here, powering up normal types moves. The way that it works is Z move, or whatever, G max attack, G max power, what the heck is it called? Anyway, its attack infatuates the opponent if they're the opposite gender. Attract has almost no use in VGC. Captivate, although it was used to actually pretty big success in 2012 Nationals, it almost never works well. And yeah, while there are certain times where gender plays a big role in Pokemon, for example, Mateo Genie actually getting second at Worlds in 2011 with Haxorus using the rivalry ability. I believe that it was male because the genies were all male. So basically, while there are some specific instances where gender plays a role, in general, it's not very good and it's not consistent. And so because of that, I feel like Eevee's ability to, even getting past the fact that it's Eevee, that it's, even if it gets a big stat boost, it's probably still not going to be good. One interesting thing that we can see here is that Eevee has 195 HP. I believe that Gigamax is already confirmed to just boost HP stat and not boost the other stats, although I'm not sure that's a fact, but that seems to be the case. And so, obviously, adding a bunch of HP to a Pokemon is big. And the other thing is that these Pokemon can hold items. So Eevee could have an Eviolite, no pun intended. So it could be bulkier. Of course, it could be, in its Gigantamax form, it could be okay, just as a Pokemon. But I think the fact that its signature move is not very good is probably not going to be a good sign for it. So that's pretty much all I want to say about Eevee. It's very cute. I think these clouds are interesting from a design perspective, but we don't really have to talk about that. Probably the next worst one is Meowth, although I really like this design. I have 2 cats at home, and this Actually, my dad is on a tangent. My dad has started. He's got like cat treats, and now like what he likes to do is he likes to raise the cat treats above my cat's heads, and then the cats will stand on their hind legs. My cats are a lot fatter than Meowth, so it doesn't look exactly like this. But yeah, Meowth would be better if this was Gen 6. Confusion was recently changed. Basically, sorry, let me explain. Meowth is a giant shiny coin. When it attacks, when it uses its signature G-Max move, all opponents are confused. Another interesting thing about these moves in general is that they're typically field effects, which is interesting because, because field effects are very different in doubles than they are in singles. And because we're talking about VGC here, the official competitive format, it's a very, very different situation than if these Pokemon were in singles. Because confusing one Pokemon, or as we'll see, like, the effect on one Pokemon is drastically different than when it's two Pokemon that you're hitting. So, Meowth doubles your prize money, I think, or increases your prize money. In addition to confusing the opponents, I would say it might have a chance. It might have a chance. Meowth gets good moves and Fake Out. It gets a couple other good support moves as well, but Fake Out is a big one. But if this was still 50% chance of confusion, if confusion still had a 50% chance to confuse the user or the Pokemon that was confused, I would say probably not, but maybe. But with a 1 in 3 chance to confuse, I don't think it's especially likely, personally. I really don't think that Meowth is probably going to be very good. It might be worse. It probably, honestly, the only reason I have it above Eevee is because of Fake Out. So if you were going to use it, at least you would have Fake Out. Although maybe Fake Out will get worse because I don't think you can flinch Gigamax and Gigantamax Pokemon. Technician is a good ability. I don't know how big of a deal it is with Meowth. I really don't think Meowth is very good. It's possible. Again, the fact that these Pokemon can hold the Eviolite makes a big deal in some cases if they get like a huge HP buff, because normally the problem with not fully evolved Pokemon is their lack of HPs. Because, like, so for example, a Pokemon like Duosion doesn't have... Its defenses are actually comparable after the Eviolite to Reuniclus, but it has lower base HP. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has lower base HP. Anyway, and so, like, basically the HP takes a big chunk out because the Eviolite, a 1.5 boost to both your defenses, you can normally, make yourself somewhat survivable. Although in Meowth's case, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, the fact that these Pokemon can hold items gives them a chance. Like, that's a positive in their favor. However, the fact that the Gigantamax only lasts for a few turns, 3 turns, that changes things a lot. Because once you can stall out these Pokemon, then your opponent has Meowth, and that's normally not a very good thing. That's all I want to say about Meowth. Probably the next best one, I would say Pikachu. And this is also assuming, so this Pikachu transfers over from Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, which is interesting because that Pikachu had a huge stat buff. However, I believe that Fake Out is an egg move, and I also believe that Lightning Rod is a hidden ability. So basically, if this is only a specific Pikachu, I don't think it can have Lightning Rod, and I don't think it can have Fake Out. Which is a problem, in short. And so, yeah, basically because of that, I still think Pikachu is better than Eevee, and I think it's better than, Meowth as well. Pikachu's ability is it paralyzes both of the opponent's Pokemon, including it seemed like ground types. There was in the trailer it used its G-Max move, whatever it's called, and it paralyzed a Mudsdale. I do appreciate that the weight is question mark pounds. But yeah, basically, like, the ability to paralyze paralysis is an amazing status, although again it got weakened recently. Pikachu without Fake Out can be difficult. It does get Encore, but I think that's also an egg move. Yeah, the fact that Pikachu can hold an item, though, means it's kind of better because Pikachu is actually really strong offensively with Light Ball. Like, it's shockingly strong. And with the HP boost, you can actually justify running, like, Volt Tackle if you wanted. It also hits really hard with Thunderbolt and Thunder. And the ability to paralyze is huge, and it's really not something that you should scoff at. Yeah. However, again, like, it's basically a lot. I would say Pikachu depends a lot on the stats. I would guess that it's probably not going to be great if it has its regular stats. If it has the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee stats, I think there's a good chance it could be really strong. I know that Pikachu's like crazy busted. I know at least in that metagame, and with the stat increase, I think it's faster, and I believe it's strong. I think it's faster and bulkier, but I'm not entirely sure. I should check that. But yeah, basically with the changes, if it has the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee stats, I think it actually could be. I think it would definitely be viable. Basically, the only thing is that you can't run Eviolite and Light Ball, which is kind of a problem. But even just like with Light Ball, when they added defenses and Gigantamax giving an HP boost, Let's see. Yeah. I think it could actually be pretty good. I mean, and the thing is, unlike Z moves, this like paralyzes every time. Sorry. Like Z moves only give you one shot. So like for example, Stoked Spark Surfer or Raichu's exclusive Z move, you could use once, and you can paralyze one Pokemon. But with Pikachu, if you can keep it around for enough turns, then you can actually paralyze like multiple Pokemon. So if you knock out a Pokemon with Pikachu and then I don't know, like they send another one, you can paralyze that one as well. So I think Pikachu, if it has Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee stats, I would say there's a good chance it's going to be good. Even without it, I could see it getting some use, but it depends on how bulky you can make it. In this case, I would honestly consider, like, if I was using Pikachu, I would honestly consider pairing it with like a pretty strong partner Pokemon and just use like trying to make it bulky and stick around so that I have multiple chances to paralyze like all of my opponents. But yeah, that's Pikachu. I'm torn as to which one of these I think is going to be better between Charizard and Butterfree. I'm actually probably going to do something controversial, and I think that Charizard is probably the next best one. Charizard, I really like this. It basically creates the Burning Field that affects all non-Fire type Pokemon. Charizard, of these Pokemon, has the best base stats. We've already seen Charizard, thanks to Mega Evolution, be pretty good in VGC. So I don't believe it ever won Worlds in the Masters Division. No, I guess it didn't. But it's a Pokemon that's respected for sure, and both Charizard Y and Charizard X had like pretty good things going for them. Basically, Charizard, I don't have that much to say about it. It's like with a big HP boost, I think it could be super good. You can see here Charizard has 222 HP. We're not even sure if that's invested, although based on this, it's probably not invested because Charizard can actually have up to, I think, 177 or 178 HP. So Charizard could, in theory, have even more HP than this. And with an ability to cause passive damage every turn that can't be protected against, I think that's really good. Fire Flying, if it gets, like, because of Gigantamax powering up all, like, flying type moves as well, like, powering up all moves as well, I assume, that'll allow its flying type special attacks to be stronger as well. And I could definitely see some stuff like pairing this with Sun, pairing this with Sand, so that you have like a lot of passive damage per turn. Charizard again kind of suffers from the fact that not in Gigantamax form, it's going to be kind of weak. But I do feel like it might have the power to make, or like you might be able to do enough damage with Charizard to kind of mitigate that. Because of the Burning Field or whatever the effect is called. So I think Charizard could be good. Again, without its Gigantamax form, it is pretty bad. That's like the one thing. And unfortunately, Tailwind is a tutor move on Charizard. And so because of that, like normally there aren't move tutors in the first iteration of a new generation. So Charizard probably won't have access to Tailwind, which is like honestly its best supporting move. And normally Charizard goes like it's probably gonna run special. So even like Dragon Dance probably not an option here. That's kind of why I feel like Charizard is not the best Pokemon here. Then again, it can hold an item. It can hold a 50% berry. It can hold Specs. It could hold Scarf. Like, there are uses for it. And it all depends on the metagame. But, yeah. Like, basically, Charizard... This is all theory. So, and again, we don't have that much information. So, yeah, take this all with a grain of salt. But I think Charizard could be good. I think Charizard's a Pokemon that, like, when you use Charizard, you want to just kind of, like, try and... You want to do enough damage that you can win the game from there. Before you un-Gigantamax, because yeah, like base Charizard's a lot weaker. Yeah, the HP boost is cool though. I think that's actually a really cool mechanic, and I hope that the only stat changes in general, at least for Gigamaxing, are HP. With Gigantamaxing, I could understand other stats as well, but yeah. So that's that. I'm just curious about. I just want to see something. Yeah, okay. This is who's officially revealed. Okay, cool. And then lastly, and this is actually the one that I'm the most excited for, and the one that I think actually has the potential to be the best, because unlike all of these other Pokemon, Butterfree actually has usage if it's not Gigantamaxed. And that might seem strange because Butterfree like isn't thought of to be like that strong of a Pokemon. However, Baz Anderson, who's a VGC player, 9th Worlds 2013, Top Cut Worlds 2016, he's a player who's I know used Butterfree in VGC, maybe for a while. Butterfree actually has this really interesting thing where it has Compound Eyes, which boosts accuracy. So it gets Compound Eyes boosted Sleep Powder, which is really interesting. And it also gets Rage Powder, which is an incredible attack that redirects all attacks to the users. And so, basically, with that in mind, this all by the way, all the music is by Glitch, Glitch X City. She's dope. But yeah, if you like the music, that's where it is. I'll put a link in the description as well. But yeah, this is pretty good. Anyway, Butterfree. Rage Powder redirects it all attacks to the user. It can hold an item. For example, it can hold Focus Sash, which would be very interesting because Focus Sash Butterfree with Rage Powder and Sleep Powder is actually pretty good. It may also get Tailwind, but if you're running Rage Powder and Sleep Powder, you can't really afford Tailwind because you want a Bug Buzz probably, and Protect. But yeah, the really interesting thing about like Gigantamax Butterfree is its signature attack, G-Max, whatever, Poison, whatever, Butterfly Scales, whatever it's called. I'm not entirely sure how to feel about this, because if you have a spread move that can sleep both of your opponents or paralyze both your opponents, that's huge. If you have Dark Void on Butterfree, and I don't think it can be protected against, but I'm not positive about that, that's a huge deal. That's actually a huge deal. Yeah. Butterfree's not the strongest also, like, offensively, but, like, Bug and Flying is not bad typing, especially, like, when you consider you can spread status. But yeah, basically, like, I think Butterfree's a Pokemon that could actually be good, because you, in theory, could run it even without, like, on the right type of team. If you had a team that was, like, for example, let's say you had a really strong sweeper on your team, then what you could do is, you could have Butterfree just Focus Sash, Rage Powder, Sleep Powder, like, general support, and have it be pretty strong. Or, like, if you wanted more support, or if you, like, wanted Butterfree to stick around longer, to Rage Powder for longer, you could Gigantamax it and become even bulkier because of the HP boost. And, in addition to all that, so you already have Sleep Powder. You already have this spread status move, which, passing either Paralysis or Sleep is huge. And you figure, like, what are so the odds of not getting Sleep, if you use Gigantamax this move, you actually have a better chance of putting something to sleep. 2/3 times 2/3, which is 4/9, which is less than 50%. That's your odds of not getting a sleep. Not putting a Pokemon to sleep with this. So, basically, with that in mind, you have an over 50% chance of putting at least one of their Pokemon to sleep, which is really big. And the other one is Paralysis. And Paralysis then gives you a 1 in 4 chance of them not moving. Poison's probably the worst one, but it also allows you to play in such a way. Again, it depends kind of on how your team is built. If your team, like, can stall out Pokemon, or if you want chip damage, or if this does hit through Protect, sometimes, like, Poison could be good as well, but I would rank Sleep, then Paralysis, then Poison, in my personal preference. And when you consider that you can already put Pokemon to sleep with Sleep Powder, I think that's pretty good. Yeah. I do need to confirm that you can use status moves when you're in Gigantamax form. That's something that I'm not 100% positive about. Yeah. But I think I would be really, really dumb if you couldn't. I think they just become stronger versions of... I'm actually not sure if you can do that, because I remember, like, I feel like all normal status moves become, like, Gigantamax Protect. So maybe you wouldn't be able to Rage Powder when you turn into Gigantamax Butterfree, but I think the point still stands. Where you have this regular Butterfree with Protect, Rage Powder, Sleep Powder, and then you also have this ability to put multiple Pokemon to sleep. You also maybe, if it depends if stats change with Gigantamax as well. It depends also if the stats change, how the stats change, because Butterfree is not the strongest, but Bug and Flying while Pokemon are asleep can be pretty annoying. Like, I've lost to Butterfree on ladder before, even without its Gigantamax form. And so, yeah. With all that being said, I guess my final ranking is probably Eevee at the bottom. Honestly, maybe Meowth at the bottom. These two at the bottom, depending on stats. If Eevee has Let's Go Pikachu Eevee stats, then I guess it's probably better than Meowth. Otherwise, I put a toss-up. Then Pikachu. Sorry, Pikachu. If Pikachu has a Let's Go Pikachu stats, I'd probably put it above Charizard. Charizard next, and then Butterfree is the last one. Anyway, I think that's it. So, let me know if you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to wrap up here. I definitely want to do more videos like this. I think I'm going to make a video about Surfetch. That's probably my next one. But if you want to see other Sword and Shield content from me in terms of this Theorymon, let me know, because I really enjoy doing this. And I know, like, again, I know this is all opinion, this is all speculation, but, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this, because they're fun for me to make, and it's fun for me to think about. So, if you enjoyed this, please let me know. Please leave a like. Please comment down below if you want to see other kind of speculatory, competitive content from me. Yeah, and any feedback you have for this video. So, we'll end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.